I think
George doesn't want to get distracted.
I think George being either very honest or Rick angle shooting there. So it's round 2, guys. 4 rounds of Swiss tonight, followed by a cut to top 8. Both of these players are 1-0. On the left is George Arbogast, who's playing a Boros burn deck. Basically mono red burn with young pyromancers. White splashing for Boros Charm and War Leader's Helix. And his opponent on the right is Rick Pittman, who's playing Mono Blue Devotion with a white splash for Detention Spheres in the main and Rootborn Defenses in the side. Ironically, he's drawn 3 of the 4 white sources he has in this deck. Is he still only playing the 4?
Holograms. No, I think he might have added the temples in that.
Oh, yeah, now he can play the temples, yeah.
George also has the black splash for the red-black split card. The sudden impact card.
Yeah, but see, the thing about that is, though, you could just... it's hard to know when these decks are actually splashing something because they play the temples anyway.
Right.
But yeah, you are right. He does splash for... I think it's more incidental than anything on the other half of the sudden impact card. I can't remember. Is that breaking and entering? Is that what that's called?
No, that's the middle one. So the double Phoenix draw is very good. These are cards that Rick has a hard time interacting with without Nightveil Spectre.
Is the Tidebiter Mage say red or green?
Yes.
I've only ever seen it tap green creatures until right now. That's literally a thing that has happened in my life.
It taps the Elvish Mystic very good.
Yeah, that's what it's mostly there for, is for that. And in the modern at GP Richmond, we saw the undefeated Merfolk deck make good use out of tapping Tarmogoyfs and Scavenging Oozes, which also seemed like a pretty good use for that card. George has drawn 5 lands here.
I had my Noble Hiron type on the play. Tidebiter Mage. I about threw it up in my mouth. Rick going to pump Frostburn Weird after pumping resolves before damage. George making the heads-up play of getting it off the field.
Like, I don't know what the content of George's hand is, but wouldn't you just be... I mean, he's drawn 6 lands. Wouldn't you just be throwing all of the burn at Rick's face?
Chandra's Phoenix frees you up from doing that.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's also just dead there. I wasn't paying attention to see if Rick played a land or not, but if Rick just goes land Master Waves after that, George is very much dead on the next turn. We're
upkeeping a Helix.
Yeah, play it on counter magic.
Yeah.
George has been practicing with somebody that's taught him a lot of these tricks.
It's the small mechanical things that make a huge difference, especially with the burn deck. Every spell has to connect, so if you give them an opportunity to counter it, it'd be interesting here too. George's got to be careful to not run, as we see a Nightveil Spectre out of Rick, not to run a burn spell into that Judge's Familiar right here.
Yeah, as he's doing right now.
Yeah.
And you'll gladly trade the Judge's Familiar for that.
I also think it's probably a wrong play to not burn, not Lightning Strike. You just take the damage and Lightning Strike the Midnight, or the Nightveil Spectre, right? Good grief. How many lands does this deck play? 22?
23.
Why so many?
That has the Skylands. Skylands are a bigger incentive for you to play more lands, because you can filter out excessive land draws.
I think George really wanted to keep that to send that Lightning Strike towards the Nightveil Spectre. Now it doesn't look as bad.
Double Fiend Runner, basically.
Yeah.
Since George isn't wanting anything off devotion.
And other than the 4 young Pyromancers, those are the only... Well, no, he just plays Boros Reckoners.
This fell off very quickly. We go from this page. It's about 1 o'clock.
Still worth them.
Yes, it is.
So serving in here for 5, revealing a shock off the Nightveil Spectre. Or 4, I'm sorry. This Toil and Trouble is the card that we were trying to think of earlier. Rick has drawn a lot of lands too, to be fair. Both of these gentlemen have drawn most of the lands in their decks, though Rick's deck can put much better use to it than George's can.
Yes.
So Rick is dead on board here if George has 2 burn spells. An attack from the Phoenix puts him within double lightning strike range.
Is Rick hellbent?
I think that he is. No, he's got 1 card in hand. He just played a Nykthos.
We gotta play around acquisition here.
So Magma Jet on the Tidebinder Mage, so both of his Chandra's Phoenixes will be freed up next turn. Oh, this is going to be a good spot for George. He's leaving both cards on top here off the scry from Magma Jet. I guess the debate is which one to leave on top as opposed to shove any of them. He leaves the Chandra's Phoenix back.
Solid.
I mean, he has enough mana that he can block and then, burn Rick, get it back, cast it the same turn. So that might be his line here. Rick.
Yeah, that's the thing. He just scryed 2 on top. So maybe one's a block card to get with the Night Spectre, or it's 2 cards that he wouldn't really want, and he has to block with this.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I failed to take into consideration.
I totally forgot that too.
Yeah. I also, for some reason, am timing these at 50-minute rounds tonight, which is clearly incorrect. So, yeah. So George is blocking here. Interesting that Rick chose not to attack with the Mutavault, because it's not ever going to interact with those Chandra's Phoenixes.
Trying to play around blood. Searing blood.
So there's a Skullcrack down to 5. Rick's life total effectively 1. And if there's a burn spell, that will be good enough.
Yeah, that's the card that he wanted to not have the Night Spectre in.
Yep. So Rick down to 1 here. Does Rick have it out? Cyclonic Rift? That's not even good. Well, Cyclonic Rift buys him a turn.
Yeah.
But no, so George with the, correctly playing around that, scry, and as someone who doesn't play a lot of Standard, but yet has played some of the Standard decks that are handed to him during Wednesday night for fun sessions, I have often scryed a card to the top and then lost it to a Nightveil Spectre because I wasn't paying attention. So George correctly playing around that, so well done to him for finding the line there. And his 2 Chandra's Phoenixes get the job done. I want to remind everybody that coming up on April 5th, that's a Saturday at noon, we're having a Star City Games Invitational Qualifier here at the store. At that, of course, being Lost Legion Games and Comics here in South Charleston, West Virginia, just a couple hours away from places like Cincinnati, Columbus, Lexington, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Morgantown, and the like. So if you're in the region and would like to win $250 of cold hard cash, make sure to come down. Obviously, the cash and the invite go to first place. And I've mentioned this before, and it should be obvious to anybody who grinds a little bit, but the Star City Invitationals are the most lucrative cash tournament that go on in the year, aside from the Pro Tour, I guess, where there's appearance fees and whatnot. But it's a highly lucrative tournament with a huge overlay. So that invite is not inconsequential, and there is an invitational in Columbus this year.
You can play test with me for that one.
Yeah, Garrett is qualified for that one. That's going to be at Origins, so that's going to be one of the biggest ones I think they'll ever have. So definitely want to come and check that out if you get the opportunity, and you can win that free entry by winning this tournament. $25. Standard is the format. Like I said, it does start at noon, so you've got plenty of time to get here from surrounding areas. We will probably... we probably will be streaming it, but I haven't committed to that just yet. But at the time I made this flyer, I did commit to it. But then additional prize support. I'm trying to talk with the store about upping the prize support if we do get a good turnout. So if you have any questions, just get in touch with me or contact the store. We'd love to see you guys. The last time we had one of these, well, the last time we had one of these in the spring, last year we had 53 players. It was one of the best tournaments that we've ever had at the shop. Everyone had a great time. So we hope that you could come out. It's a good chance to, a lot of people say they'd love to come and play at FNM, but it's, too hard to get here from work on a Friday, and they want to play at their own store and whatnot. So this is a perfect opportunity to come and support the store if you've been watching the stream for a while, as well as meet some cool people and possibly win a whole lot of cash. All right, so Rick on the play here. Leads off with a Judge's Familiar, and George with the Scry Land. Shoving that one to the bottom. So what's George's side in here? Change of the Rocks?
More Change of the Rocks. He's toyed with having Anger of the Gods in his sideboard before.
Yeah,
and with that side, after seeing the Frostborn Raid, I would assume that they can win.
Yeah, well, the problem George has here is he's either kept a land or drawn into a hand that has no red mana somehow.
He could also just be playing out his tap lands first. Because it's deck. Oh, I did see that in his hand.
Yeah, well, that's the one he just drew. He would probably sideboard in. We talked about his configuration at the beginning of the game. He only has 3 Searing Bloods in the main, so the 4th one probably comes in from the board in this one as well.
Yeah, there's the Satyr Fire Dancer. That's a debate right now amongst the mono red decks, whether it's better than Izzy Mortars.
It's very good in this matchup.
It's very good here.
Because they cannot really kill it.
No. So
we have an upkeep. Boros Charm Rick during his upkeep. Very aggressive. But George has clearly established that he has a hand that's only going to win by Mountain Bolt you.
Well, the mono blue matchup is one where you can expect them to be at 20 or less life and then never gain any life. Unlike the mono black matchup, where you're worried about a Grand Merchant or the Green Red, where you could possibly see some life gain off of Scavenging Ooze or Corsair Perfects. This is just straight up get 20 damage and you win.
And George up against it here, already down to 9 thanks to an active Thassa. And I don't really know if he's got an out in this situation. He's going to have to try and turn off Devotion by getting rid of that Frostburn weird, which you can do with a War Leader's Helix. But then Rick's drawing to a considerable number of outs to...
well, that also just counters the life gain and kills the Judge's Familiar.
Oh, you're exactly right. Unless he has a 5th land, well, he needs a 6th land actually.
He drew his. He played his 4th land this turn already. He's up against it. Mizzy and Mortars would be good on the Frostburn right here. But then again, Rick has not played. Rick missed his lane drop, and you can only assume that he has, say, a Night Veil Speaker in his hand, or Master Waves. That can come down next turn. Shock here.
Shock on a Judge's Familiar. There's no real thing to think about here. You'd always sack it to counter it, right?
Yeah. Just to mess with your opponent.
To give them the opportunity. There's very much a chance that in that same playtesting game I was talking about, I'm very capable of trying to pay an extra 1 for my Supreme Verdict. So, if your opponent's as dumb as I am, that's not a bad play. You've got to give your opponent the opportunity to screw it up.
I have a funny story about Judge Familiar. I'll say for after this game. The first day that it was legal was quite hilarious.
So we're stopping there in Rick's upkeep. The Thassa trigger goes on the stack before anything else, but George lets that resolve.
Yeah, you want to let your opponent do anything before you give them the information of what you're doing.
Still in the upkeep. Just Boros Charm. And now he's just dead, right? Well, no, he's not dead because I forgot that Thassa is not online here.
So we can make 4 mana.
4 blue mana.
Play a 1-drop, and then pump our Frostburn Raid and kill him. No.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can get him to 1.
Yeah.
That's not lethal.
Oh, George's skipping dead.
Oh, wait. That's interesting, and the game's going to start here. And I hate when I do this because I like to have clean cuts, but Sonori the Priest in the chat saying, interesting scenario. At SCG Columbus, both 6-0, his opponent activates Domri and adds the card to his hand without showing it to him. And then they call a judge, and even though his opponent's hand is all 3 creatures, the judge still gives him a game loss, even though he said it'd be fine. That's very interesting, because I know you make a mistake, but like also if you can
prove.
There's a way to there's a way to know, you know. I mean, that's one of those very technical things. That also depends on which judge you get. If you get the judge that really wants to take out his, wants to be vindictive about his station in life, then good luck to you. All right, so George has brought in blind obedience, which I don't like. I don't know why he's brought it in. Would there have been some article written that would have given him a sideboard guide? Mm-hmm. Why are we bringing in blind obedience here?
Incidental life gain on his part, and I guess as burn spells more value. Like if he's bringing in Boros Reckoners, he's wanting the game to go very long.
Are the Reckoners not main?
No.
I think they are main.
Be surprised to me.
So Rick with the turn 3 Thassa yet again. He still has an unevolved Cloudfin Raptor, but he does get in with the Judge's Familiar. But that Reckoner is still going to wreak some havoc here until that Thassa turns on.
Even still then.
Shocking ourselves. So we obviously have... there's a very good chance George just accidentally shocked himself and is going to get blown out by Judge's Familiar here. What's the best thing George can do here? Shock the Judge's Familiar, extort, a Searing Blood, the Cloudfin Raptor attack. It's a pretty good turn, right? 6 damage.
We'll do that in the opposite order. Oh, no. No, actually, it's Shock the Judge's Familiar. Electrickery.
You can also attack first too. There's no reason not to do that.
Flames of the Firebrand.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too. I mean, I think it's correct, but George, doing a lot of stuff in Rick's upkeep, but Rick's not on counter magic here. He could side.
Tapped out right now.
Yeah.
The upkeep is so you don't want to. You want to let him get the scry effect, but like the debate over doing it whenever he's tapped out or not is not a debate at all. Like if you have a burn spell, you just do it right then, unless you're trying to protect yourself from the Thassa hit.
Yep. So George just playing the shock up so that he can pay for the Judge's Familiar. He's just trying to resolve an extort on.
Snap, keep, double top.
Not good for Rick. That's similar to Legacy when they ponder and then just immediately put them back down.
You're going to shuffle?
That is a bad situation for you to be in. So there's a Night Veil Spectre. It does come into play tapped.
It's even worse off the Brainstorm. Like whenever they have a fetch lane and they don't want to crack it.
All their cards are business. So the Thassa is now active. The Cloudfin Raptor does evolve, and we serve in here for 7. So George down to 10. So we really need a chain off the top here. That's the most important card in this matchup, I would think. He has one in his hand.
So that might be part of George's plan. George might have one over here. George just walked away from the table.
Is he asking a rules question to Evan?
Why is he asking a rules question?
I don't know.
He's got a judge question. He's got active Thassa. I want to change it. Does it, whenever it goes out of play, does it fall off? Or does the chain stay on? I want to chain an active Thassa.
So we got a judge question. Fortunately for us, even though our resident level 1 judge is out sick tonight, fill-in active judge, level 1 judge himself, Zachary Evans, is out on the floor right now taking care of things.
He's got a fair question.
And to make matters even more hilarious, the guy sitting across from George right now is also a level 1 judge.
Yeah, but he can't.
Right, he can't ask him.
Oh, and don't worry, Joe's out there trying to give him the.
Yeah, why? Joe, go away, Joe. What's the question about changing the rocks?
If you change the rocks to Thassa, does it fall off if it's not a creature?
Doesn't matter. It's X out. The card is X out.
Oh, yeah. Let me read the change.
And out of all the level 1 judges, Rules Advisor Garrett came through in the end.
Well, it's not a matter of who gets it right. It's a matter of making sure that the right
And it's
thing.
also a matter of I know what this card does, whereas you don't play standard.
Yeah, I thought it was an enchantment, but it's an O-ring effect basically.
Yes.
It comes into play and enchants something, then there's
That's
a
not
trigger.
Faith Fetters.
Right.
It's an O-ring.
It is interesting to see what would happen if it was what we thought, like what he's talking
If it was
about.
like Faith Fetters or something
Yeah.
like that, yeah. Or like a pacifism effect.
If it was a passive, because it specifically says enchant creature, so I really don't know what that is, but. And then we're going to follow up with a lightning strike on the Nightvale Spectre.
So that's going to buy George a lot more turns.
Yeah.
Now his clock. Did Rick miss the evolve in the clock?
No, he got it.
Yeah. The Thassa didn't evolve it. That's why
Yeah.
I'm telling you. That's one counter.
And then George just serve in here. There's no reason not to. He's not going to win this game by blocking.
So Reckoner's got 6 damage in so far.
Yep.
And it still has its most valuable mode left. Rick thinking about scrumming there for a second.
Well, it's to be fair, I probably would have thought about it too. So Rick up against it here. That Reckoner is essentially unblockable here. He can rapid hybridization, rapidly hybridize it, I guess.
Turn it to a beast.
Yes, frog lizard it.
Yeah, I think it's funny that the turn to beast card also just has a frog in it, so actually just reprinting this card, turn to frog or something.
Yeah. So serving in here for 2. And Rick's at an awkward point here where he can't really afford to sit back and chump. He's never going to win the game like that. Plus, he loses his devotion count, which is almost more important than his life at some point.
Yeah, and the chumping is low value anyway, since he's still going to take at least 1 damage.
Right. So 2 mana for a Searing Blood.
Not extorting. Rick could have easily brought in the gates.
Well, that's what I thought about when I said that earlier that he doesn't have counter magic, because he doesn't have any in the main, but the gate is effectively healing salve in this matchup, and it's very relevant.
Cyclonic Rick is not a very good card in this matchup.
No.
I think it's one of those out.
Oh, you're exactly right. It's effectively dead. Like, it can bounce a Reckoner, but again, you don't know if they're still in or out, or...
Yeah, you don't know if he's bringing in Chain to the Rocks or anything like that. So we're rifting the Reckoner. Just so Rick can be like, nope, I left him in the rift, guys. I guess there are a lot of good targets for it that aren't beast. Like, you don't know if George brings in Firedrinker Shader. Ooh, double rifting.
Mm-hmm. Well, after we say the rifts aren't that good in this matchup.
So we're going to rift the Chain to the Rocks. And we're going to Magma Jet U, which taps us out. Mm-hmm. We're just going to let it happen. I'm going to sacrifice the Judge's Familiar.
Doing that to the Thassa, does that really do anything here? I mean, you can play a Nightvale Spectre and get in for 6, but you can very easily die on the way back. George asking about the interaction between Blind Obedience and Thassa. It doesn't matter because it came in under his turn,
Right.
but it would not come in tapped. There's actually like a very interesting way that they
Yes.
interact with imposing sovereign in that. There was a thing on the judge blog about it, and I can't remember it, and I don't really want to think about it right now.
If it
Because
comes in as a creature, if there's a Blind Obedience in play, it comes in untapped.
yes,
Because it's not entering the battlefield as a creature.
it's one of those things that seems... It's one of the many aspects of Magic that seems wholly counterintuitive.
Players.
And so, just like we talked about, there's the Night Veil Spectre. The Thassa is live here.
So Jordan's been on board in multiple ways, unless he has a removal spell for this Night Veil Spectre.
Well, he's got a Chain to the Rocks for the Thassa. No, Chain for the Rocks on the Night Veil Spectre works. Oh my goodness!
Here's a Spectre.
Are you kidding me? He's going to Spark Trooper him for the win.
That's pretty good.
Nuts. That was crazy.
That was pretty good. So here we are talking about Chain to the Rocks.
Yeah.
Which creature do best Chain to the Rocks?
George is like, screw it, I got a ball lightning. How you like me now? Well done to George. I know